Greetings, all you outsiders out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another Young Justice episode review. This time it's Season three's Episode 24, titled Into the Breach. And that is exactly right. It is time to dive in to one of the most interesting episodes of Young Justice out there. And a real MVP actually shines, as we see adjacent to when Miss Martian and the team was going in to the orphanage in order to rescue both, well, all inclusive, Violet, the Justice League, the kidnapped Metateens. They were on a mission of their own and following up their own specific lead, namely one at Good World Studios. We come to find out that Victor has been experiencing some interesting shifts for the most part. Namely, that he's been intercepting various text messages. As we saw, he intercepted Brion's text messages to Violet and all that. He was kind of picking up on that. And now that he's been infused with tech from the Mobius chair, he has become even more integrated with various systems than ever before. That's why he was able to pick up on that mother box in distress back in Unknown Factors. He's become highly in tune with all things cybernetic, very much like the regular cyborg, especially specifically the one seen in Doom Patrol. If you have, well, if you're watching this, I assume you have DC Universe, but who knows, your horror and all that shit. But he's been connecting to various sources in order to try to suss out any kind of information pertaining to apocalyptic technology. And when Blue Beetle questions how that's any different from what Oracle does, he explains that he is actually able to merge more with the information than she can. She has to go all analog with all of it. He immerses himself in that digital information, and he came to find out that at Studio 16, the magic number in terms of all Greg Weisman works, he found a slight hint of apocalyptic signal coming from this specific studio, despite the fact that the team had actually already kind of gone over that place beforehand. But he doesn't sense any kind of life forms were in, so it's safe enough for them to go in, but they should still be on their guard for the most part. And he especially wants to go in, if only just to make sure that Violet's okay. He's doing this all for someone who's helped him out a multitude of times. Unfortunately, Granny and Overlord are already privy to their presence. So as they boom tube in thanks to Victor, Victor explains like, look, Violet helped me out so many times in keeping my father box side in check. I have to do my best to be there for her, whatever it takes. Unfortunately, all they find are some props from Garfield's show inside the actual building. But as Victor starts to do a bit of a scan in the building itself, he's able to uncloak this massive apocalyptic device we're in. But before he can try to access it and find out what it's actually doing, they are transported away by Overlord into the X Pit. Meanwhile, we get a slight aside where we see that Infinity Inc. is on the rise in terms of trending, much to the interest of Lex Luthor as he puts in a special call. We also see that while in the X Pit, the bug resends from Jaime as it's in danger, but that puts Jaime in even greater danger since that exposes his human form to the X Pit, which we've come to know puts greater strain on those without the metahuman gene in them. And hearing their suffering over comms, Eduardo goes to teleport in and try to rescue them as best he can, going for Jaime first since he doesn't contain a metagene. Unfortunately, he can't get his bearings in order to warp out. However, Gretchen does, put a protective cube around Garfield, and while Garfield figures that it's mostly so Gretchen can watch his friends suffer, Gretchen wants to go mano with Garfield and teach him his lesson personally. And so she creates this little arena for them to throw down, but Gretchen is no pushover, and she really starts to give it to Garfield. Meanwhile, Victor takes a moment to try to access the systems. He takes a moment to try to infiltrate for the most part, only to be met by Overlord in his digital representation. We then get to a little bit of an aside with Infinity Inc. combating against Killer Frost. Very interesting, with Lex taking a particular interest in this battle as Infinity Inc.'s trending starts to match that of the Outsiders. Victor has a bit of a rough go at first entangling with Overlord in the cyber world, but once he starts to come to terms with the fact that none of this is truly real, and his old fleshy appearance isn't really suited for this kind of stuff, he has to accept his new cyborg appearance and take solace in that, take understanding in that, and use that to his advantage to overpower Overlord and disable it, allowing everyone to be taken out of the X pit and for them to capture Granny Goodness. And as Victor and Blue Beetle set about trying to destroy this device, much to their success, Granny is warped out by Overlord. But Victor is able to pick up on Overlord's transportation signal, and he's able to boom to their location, unfortunately leaving behind the rest of the team, who question if they actually managed to do a good job in this situation. Victor arrives at the orphanage just in time to see a really messed up sight. God, this thing gave me the coldest shiver down my spine. But it is Granny merging with Gretchen Good, showing that they were all one person to begin with. It was just thanks to the abilities of Overlord, she was able to separate her being, which I know is a thing that new gods and the like are able to do. They only have one form, but they're able to send off their other kind of avatar into other universes. So every time you see Apocalypse, it's all one Apocalypse, but it's just his avatar just being presented in that specific universe. Still a weird thing, and I still feel like that's kind of BS, because it never feels like it works that way, but whatever. I mean, this could prove as an example of that, but it's still very weird. I still just can't see, how she's able to do this. It's just what? This is a new one on me, and I've seen a lot of weird things in comics, but maybe this is just from something I've missed along my years of reading comics. But Cyborg also ends up spotting not just Halo, but something more as well. Victor ends up seeing that the League and the rest of the team has been captured as well, putting him in a bit of a dire spot and giving him only one shot in order to free Violet from the control of Granny Goodness, which he manages to make perfectly. And Violet manages to wake up, but immediately wants to go in and free everyone. But Victor tells her, hey, that might not be such a good idea, and she realizes that, because my polarity has been switched, I'll just end up continuing to enslave them under the anti-life equation. But she has a bit of an idea, so she starts to access all the spectrums of her aura, everything within her, in order to basically override Granny's manipulation and control the manipulation of the X Pit. And she sends out this massive wave across the universe that's able to free everyone inside the orphanage. Granny, managing to recover from her remerging with Gretchen Good, goes on the offensive to take down the naughty children. However, Halo is able to bind her within her force field, and the Halo, Victor, Captain Atom, Superman, they all take this opportunity to blast the X Pit, blast that thing to living shit, and they shield the place from blowing up thanks to the help of the Green Lanterns. And we see that Overlord has finally been put out of commission. And Granny tries her best to appeal to Violet to say, hey, I was trying to protect you for what is to come. If you're all under the service of Darkseid, you don't have to suffer the invasion that is more than likely to come to your doorstep. But when this proves to, of course, not really get Violet to let her go, Granny goes on the offensive, only for Violet to put her down quick, fast, and in a hurry, and to declare that love and free will has triumphed over anti-life this day. And as everybody else closes in around Granny, and Connor delivers the great line of, and if you're wondering how we managed to find you, you can thank Vandal Savage. Granny boom tubes out of there immediately to get away and not be captured. But this is kind of brushed to the side as Violet is happy to be reunited with Brion. And seeing this, unfortunately, brings forth a difficult question for both Connor and McGann, and that's, where does this leave them with everything that's been said and everything that's been done? Emotions are kind of conflicting, and Connor just feels a certain way towards McGann that unfortunately might just destroy the relationship. But as the League gets ready to rescue all the various captured metahuman teams, we have Miss Martian, inform Forager as Mantis is carted away by the lanterns and stuff, that she has also received some information that Macomb has returned to Mars, which something about that information seems kind of weird. Like, Macomb just returned to Mars? Really? Like, that seems awfully convenient. Seems awfully convenient we still have 2 episodes left in this season, which, man, I'm glad that we got a 4th season, because if this was the end of Young Justice entirely, I'd be like, Riot. No, I want more. You've answered a lot, but you haven't answered enough. But Forager is left with the question as to whether he will return to New Genesis or he will stay on Earth. And meanwhile, on Apocalypse, Granny reports to Darkseid that while she may have failed, it's all because of the intervention of none other than Vandal Savage, which puts Darkseid in a bit of a sour mood. And speaking of which, Garfield and the team are feeling pretty bummed because, they don't know where Violet is, they don't know what happened to Victor, they're really kind of left in the dark about everything. And Garfield really starts to feel like he's, let everything down, that he just dropped the ball on all this, only for everyone to re-enter the hideout completely unscathed, much to Garfield's delight. And Miss Martian makes the declaration that they've rescued basically all the kidnapped metahuman teams, at least the ones who didn't die off, but they've rescued pretty much everyone, and the League is returning them safely to their homes, with Victor also having video proof that Granny Goodness is none other than Gretchen Good. and just being entirely impressed with everything that Victor has managed to pull off over the course of this episode. They declare Victor is the real MVP and should be inducted into the Outsiders. And while Connor, always kind of cautious about this kind of stuff, doesn't want Victor to feel pressured in deciding to be a true superhero, Victor declares that no, this might be right. This ability that I have, it's bigger than me. I was always a team player. I was always willing to just be out there in the spotlight. So why not? I will join the Outsiders because I am fighting for something bigger than myself. Very well said, Victor. But, Geoforce taking a very pleasant moment as he is no longer one of the newest recruits, says, hey, you have to choose a code name now that you've decided to become a full-fledged superhero. Your nom de guerre. And Victor, having wanting to accept what he has become, accept what his future is, decides on the name of none other than, surprise, surprise, Cyborg. Ugh, yes, booyah. And he is fully inducted into the Outsiders. Man, at this point, all we need is Starfire, and we've got all the Teen Titans and Young Justice together. Like, dude, get it. Although Secret's not around, and we don't have Empress, so that's neither here nor there. We've come far enough, but with the old team looking on at what is the new generation, although that should have been like that was supposed to kind of be like Tim and his whole team going on in season 2. They never really got the love that they deserved, but they're looking on at what the new generation of heroes who are rising up to fully take on the mantle that they once had. Young heroes doing their best for justice. Meanwhile, Infinity Inc. is having a little bit of a meet and greet after their defeat of Killer Frost. Killer Frost, who was under the control of one of the Light's control chips. And Lex Luthor sees that Infinity Inc. is now outtrending the Outsiders, much to Lex Luthor's delight. His plan of getting Infinity Inc. more popular than the Outsiders is coming along at a breakneck pace. Who could have seen this coming? But what he wants to do with this popularity, well, we got 2 episodes left. Let's just jump on in and see. But in terms of this episode, what did you think? How did you feel about the whole situation of Victor just kind of embracing everything that he is and finally becoming the cyborg that we all knew he could be? Hopefully he steps forward and really starts to become that superhero we saw not so in Doom Patrol, but honestly, Teen Titans Cyborg was like the best portrayal of Cyborg. He was confident, he was powerful, he was capable. He just really was the best incarnation to date. But, who knows? Maybe this one can also be a great Cyborg. But what do you think about Violet and the powers that she's exhibited? Man, some really intense power she's shown off. Very interesting stuff. And there's also the question of what Lex Luthor wishes to do with Infinity Inc. now that they are starting to gain more popularity than the Outsiders. Is he ready to defame the Outsiders and put them down as the juveniles that they are? Or is there even something more devious behind the scenes? And how will the revelation that Vandal Savage has betrayed Granny Goodness and Darkseid, how will that come to bite him in the end? Is it finally time for them to prematurely clash in terms of taking over the world? It really makes you kind of wonder. But We also have the question of when is Slobo gonna make his appearance? Lobo's detached appendage is still kind of growing, so get ready for the havoc that wreaks in the future season. Who knows how long that time skip would be? Now that we have Jonathan and Damien and all that, it has to at least be 10 years, but that also raises the question where everyone will be in 10 years. That's kind of scary because some of these characters, some of them didn't really have a place further than this. We've kind of reached the peak of where certain characters go. So you start to get into uncharted territory after this point, but that just leaves me even more excited. But I've babbled on enough. Tell me your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. Even if you've watched future episodes, tell me your thoughts and theories for the unanswered questions in terms of the next season. Season 4 on the way, baby. Can't wait. But if you liked this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below so I might better myself for future videos. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, that way you never miss out on another Young Justice Outsiders episode review. Got 2 more until the end, till I'm done, finito, until the next season. So tune in and check it out. And if you want to find me on social media, just Google Duuz-Diz-Din. I am everywhere, for better and for worse sometimes. And until the next video, just remember, we have nothing to fear but fear itself, and the fear of the unknown. But should we venture into the breach, know that you are never alone. You have more friends than you realize, and sometimes things just turn out for the best. Until next time, I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I think it's high time I went to bed. Bye-bye.